are these people?
Author and activist, Canadian activist, you can see from the flag there, Yves Engler is spending the night in jail for speaking out against Zionism after prosecutors objected to his release. Another hearing is scheduled for tomorrow, but even then, his freedom is not guaranteed. We need to keep up the pressure. And this was on Thursday, all right, the 20th. Friday was the 21st. So what had happened was Yves got arrested. Why? Because he turned himself in. I'm going to bring the whole tweet. He turned himself in to Montreal police. He was told that he was going, and this is a 20-minute video. I'm not going to play the whole thing. But effectively, somebody, a Canadian citizen, a Zionist citizen, charged him with harassment. All right. They came to arrest him, to take him in on that charge. And when he posted that he was being arrested for it, they then promised new charges of harassing police and obstructing their work for tweeting it. Crazy. All right. So our friend the Dissident, the 307.substack.com, wrote an article about this saying, and he's Canadian, he's from Toronto. So the Lawfare campaign against pro-Palestinian speech comes to Canada. Right? Canada is now joining the long list of Western countries to begin criminalizing anti-genocide speech. So he starts by saying, let me blow this up a little bit more. All right. On his website, the Canadian writer and author of the books Canada's Long Fight Against Democracy and Stand on Guard for Whom, A People's History of the Canadian Military, Yves Engler wrote, "Tomorrow, the Montreal police will arrest me." The reason? He said it's because of his posting to social media against Israel's genocide in Gaza. He received a phone call from a Montreal police officer by the last name of Crivello, who asked him to come downtown to a downtown police station where I will be charged for harassment and indecent communication. He says, a complaint was submitted against me months ago by a legal firm on behalf of racist media personality Dahlia Kurtz. Crivello said I had described Kurtz as a genocide supporter and a fascist on Twitter. Guilty as charged. He is. He noted that on dozens of occasions, I've responded to her racist, violent anti-Palestinian posts on X. Before getting into the free speech issues, let's look at the facts. Dahlia Kurtz is a Canadian influencer who describes herself on her website as an award-winning radio talk show host, international speaker, and syndicated columnist. She's written for mainstream Canadian outlets like National Post. She hosts a radio show on Sirius XM and has over 40,000 followers on X. She is an open and proud supporter of Israel's mass murder campaign in Gaza. For context, Amnesty International has said that Israel is, quote, committing genocide against Palestinians in Gaza and concluded a lengthy report that there is sufficient basis to conclude that Israel has committed and is continuing to commit genocide against Palestinians in the occupied Gaza Strip. And you can now add the West Bank to that now that they've started to send tanks in as of this morning. The report found that, quote, Israel has carried out acts prohibited under the Genocide Convention with the specific intent to destroy Palestinians in Gaza. Irrefutable. Human Rights Watch similarly concluded that, quote, Israeli authorities are responsible for the crime against humanity of extermination and for acts of genocide by, quote, inflicted conditions of life calculated to bring about the destruction of part of the population in Gaza by intentionally depriving of Palestinian civilians there of adequate access to water, most likely resulting in thousands of deaths. Also food and supplies, medical supplies. The International Court of Justice also found that it's plausible that Israel has committed acts that violate the Genocide Convention. What a joke. Of course they have. Kurtz is a strong supporter of a mass murder campaign that the world's top human rights organizations have concluded is a genocide, and the ICJ has concluded is a plausible genocide. Calling her a genocide supporter is not harassment and indecent communications. It's a fact. Furthermore, she herself has engaged in some truly vile rhetoric on social media and on her Twitter page, where she sports over 41,000 followers. For starters, she has repeatedly engaged in atrocity denial, minimizing the well-documented fact that Israel is intentionally starving civilians in Gaza. She shared a video to social media of Palestinians celebrating the ceasefire in Gaza and wrote, quote, "Super energetic starving children in Gaza dancing in their cozy, clean and warm sweaters whilst clearly freezing to death. The adults choreographing the celebration are their genocided obese parents." Oh my God. In another tweet, she shared a video that purported to show a Palestinian child holding a gun. For context, Israel holds youth military training camps as well, stating, quote, "That kid in Gaza doesn't look malnourished to me. Regular meals supplemented with guns and hate," unquote. Just awful. I would say the same stuff to her that Eve is, by the way. For context, this is propaganda used to deny the well-documented fact that Israel has been deliberately starving civilians in Gaza. The International Criminal Court has issued an arrest warrant against Bibi Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant for the war crime of starvation as a method of warfare. The UN has also said that the Israeli blockade has caused, quote, 1 in 4 people to be starving and 9 out of 10 families in some areas to spend a day and night without food. And we read some of their stories last week. The, quote, integrated food security phase classification also found that the blockade would cause all 2 million people in Gaza to face acute food insecurity, with at least 1 in 4 households facing famine-like conditions. Yep, intentionally. It's called Starvation Plus, and it's a policy of Israel. Yep. Kurtz has also spread fake news to justify civilian casualties in Gaza. On Twitter, she published a fake news story without providing a link, stating, quote, "news," and I don't even want to say this because it's fake news and I don't want to get our channel popped for misinformation, but because it's in support of Israel, it probably wouldn't be. She claimed lyingly that about half of Gaza was aware of and involved in the October 7th massacre. That's ridiculous. Quote, terror,
insane.
Quote, terror network Al Jazeera published a propaganda program about the plan for October 7th with the order, time, and day and time of 6:30 a.m. Instructions were disseminated amongst the innocent civilians of Gaza. Absolute fucking lie. This is clearly propaganda used to justify Israel's mass targeting of civilians in Gaza. It's reminiscent of videos the Israeli government has posted to social media that claim there are no innocent civilians in Gaza, which is also insane because infants are definitely not innocent, right? Israel? Insane.
Mm-hmm.
This is propaganda to justify Israel's targeting of civilians in Gaza, where the Geneva-based human rights organization's Euromed Monitor found that 9 out of every 10 people killed by Israel in Gaza are civilians, and the UN found that 70% of people killed are women and children. The ages most represented among the dead were 5 to 9-year-olds, and 80% of the victims were killed in residential buildings or similar housing, or they were sniped on the street by the IDF. Kurtz also supports the complete ethnic cleansing and annexation of Gaza. In response to Donald Trump's call to take over Gaza and force Palestinians into Jordan, Egypt, or other places, she said, "Goodbye, Gaza Strip. Hello, MAGA Strip." She's also on record saying that Gaza is not a country. Oh, yeah, she's just the worst. All right. So she had a journalist locked up, this cunt. Dahlia Kurtz has also engaged in extreme dehumanizing rhetoric. At one tweet, he called former Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar a rat and tweeted the dead rat of Gaza after he was killed. That's literally what they call people anti-Semites for tweeting about Jews. But she can do it about a Palestinian, and she's just fine. Kurtz has also extended this type of rhetoric to her political opponents. She quoted a clip from the Piers Morgan show where the Israeli intelligence asset Mohab Hassan Yosef called the political commentator Cenk Uygur a parasite for his support of Palestine. And which Cenk doesn't even really support Palestine. He claims he does, but then he supports the Democrats who don't. So he doesn't really. He wants to, but he can't really. He also has repeatedly called for pro-Palestinian protesters to be deported to Gaza, like even though they're American, and she's not, while it was being bombed by Israel. Insane. He once tweeted out, now it's time to send all those death-chanting Intifada University students to Gaza. How about we send her to Gaza? How about we send her to the West Bank without any armor or weapons? In response to an anti-Zionist Jewish protest that took place against the genocide in Gaza at Canada's Parliament building, she said, quote, these quote-unquote Jews love Gaza so much, I have no problem sending them all there with my own money. It's an investment.
No, she won't. She wouldn't.
No. In response to a university campus protest against the genocide in Gaza, she said, quote, they clearly belong together in Gaza. Of all the lawfare campaigns I've covered against pro-Palestine figures, this one has to take the cake for the most ludicrous yet. Yves Engler has criticized a public figure who has denied documented war crimes, spread fake news to justify the murder of civilians, called for the ethnic cleansing of Gaza, called her political opponents parasites, and called to deport her political opponents to Gaza. And for this, he's being arrested for, quote, harassment and indecent communication.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that the Montreal police are going along with this case is truly terrifying. But it's part of a much larger lawfare campaign against those who oppose the genocide in Gaza. Like we've documented well on this show, the UK government has now gone after Richard Medhurst, Richard Barnard, Sarah Wilkinson, Asa Winstanley, and Miko Peled for their reporting and activism on Palestine. Switzerland briefly jailed journalist Ali Abunimah when he was supposed to give a talk in Palestine in the country. And Germany also issued a warrant for his arrest last April when he gave a speech remotely, in July. Austria has recently joined the British legal case against journalist Richard Medhurst for his reporting on Palestine. This new case against Yves Engler is just the latest development in the growing criminalization of pro-Palestine and anti-genocide speech in the Western world. So this is a really good piece I like by the Dissident. Support independent media, support our friend, the 307.substack.com. I believe he is trying to go full time. He set up a Patreon last week, but you can subscribe here over on Substack as well. He's got paid subs turned on. All right. Who the hell starts her bio with, I'm a Jew and granddaughter of Holocaust survivors? Is that the new get out of jail free card? Terrible. Just terrible stuff. So getting back to Yves, here's his tweet the other day. You can't make this up. Initially, the Montreal police accused me of harassing an anti-Palestinian media personality because I posted about Israel's genocide. Now they're charging me for harassing the police for writing about the charges leveled against me. At 9:30 a.m. tomorrow, the Montreal police are set to arrest me. Today, an officer told me they will detain me overnight or until I'm brought before a judge. And guess when they did it? What day of the week? Friday.
Friday.
You know why? Because they can hold him for the whole fucking weekend and he's still sitting in jail right now. Here's the story again. On Tuesday, a police investigator, Crivello, said they were charging me at the behest of anti-Palestinian activist Dahlia Kurtz. The police officer said I had described her as a genocide supporter and fascist on Twitter, which is true. I promptly wrote about the charges, and the Canadian Foreign Policy Institute organized an email letter campaign which saw 2,500 outraged people call on the cops to drop the Kurtz-sponsored charges. Angry at receiving emails right away. Well, here's what happened. Angry at receiving emails and my article, the police were seeking release conditions, barring me from discussing the charges leveled against me. The police are now claiming I'm victimizing them. They're Israeling themselves. Today, a new investigator called to say investigator Crivello feels threatened by my writing about the charges leveled against me.
Oh, it's scary.
The Montreal
words.
the Montreal police will be charging me with intimidation, harassment, harassing communication, and entrave, which is interference, towards Crivello. The police investigator also announced that they will be holding me overnight out of fear that I may relapse. In other words, I might once again write about the absurd charges leveled against me. Guilty as charged. Over the past 24 hours, I've received multiple messages about frivolous cases brought against others opposing genocide. The abuse of police and legal system to target opponents of genocide is a greater problem than I realized. I'm trying to make sense of Kurtz's bizarre bid not to block me on X, but claim I'm harassing her. Perhaps she's trying to monetize her status as a victim of hate. On her site, she writes, quote, "If you want to help save Canada from hate and extremism, please donate by e-transfer to me." After working for... She claims that after years of working for media outlets, she's now independent, so she can say the truth. Oh, this sounds like somebody that the song Pull String was written about. All right. This also means my personal security, her personal security, is under constant threat. So you can make a difference. My work is funded solely by your support. Her personal security isn't under threat. Nobody's threatening anything on her security. They called her a fascist genocide supporter and a genocide. I mean, a genocide denier and an Israel supporter. I mean, Jesus Christ. A lawyer is looking into pursuing legal action against Kurtz, but it's the police that really need to be held accountable. The initial charges were an abuse of state authority, and adding new charges for criticizing them is beyond absurd. The Montreal police apparently have no qualms about acting in service of Israel's slaughter in Gaza. More than 100,000 have been killed, and almost everyone has been displaced. About 70% of the buildings are destroyed, and most agricultural land damaged. The police targeting opposition to Israel's crimes is an embarrassment. The particular charges are ridiculous. The notion that someone can publicly attack Palestinians, repeatedly call Canada's prime minister an anti-Semite and supporter of terror, engage in a Conservative Party candidate as a lawyer to convince police to lay charges and authorities to go along with it, simply incredible. Then for police to claim they're being victimized by emails critical of the ridiculous charges, I'm at a loss for words. What parallel universe have we slipped into? Well, it's a Nazi universe, Eve. Please email the Montreal mayor and police chief to demand they drop the charges against Yves Engler. If you are in Montreal, some people will be accompanying him when he is detained in the morning. So he wrote this Wednesday night. He goes Thursday and turns himself in. All right, that's this video here. And again, we're not going to play it.
Drop the charges!
I'll go through it. You know, he's got people around him, and then he gives a speech, and he explains what's happening to him, and then he goes and turns himself in, gets arrested, and they take him away. So then what had happened, Alex Tyrell, who's apparently his friend who's reporting on what's happening, this afternoon at 2:45, and this was, I believe, Thursday on the 20th. This afternoon at 2:45, Yves Engler appeared in court via video link on charges related to his criticisms of a Zionist media personality. The Crown opposed his release without providing a reason. A bail hearing was set for tomorrow, meaning he will spend the night in jail. Engler appeared without his glasses, struggling to see the screen. When asked if he had legal representation, he confirmed that he was represented by lawyer John Philpott, but then cut off mid-sentence when attempting to discuss conditions. When he asked why his release was opposed, the judge dismissed his question, saying it was at the prosecutor's discretion and advised him not to speak. Very Kafkaesque. A not guilty plea was recorded. When Yves tried to ask about his political rights, the judge again cut him off, and he was quickly led out of the room. To support him on his website, please donate, yvesengler.com/donate. All right, I'm going to put that in the chat for everyone. All right, and Unbelievable what's going on here. And he is, again, still in jail for the weekend. I saw on the Gray Zone stream, and Aaron Mate even tweeted out about it. Here, update. Where is it? I could have sworn I saw something where on the 21st or the 22nd, they also reported that he was still in jail. He has not tweeted since. And I don't know if that's because he's afraid he's going to get arrested again, or if he isn't even out of jail yet. But this was the last tweet that, oh, here we go. Yves' father here providing an update, who is currently detained at Bordeaux jail until at least Monday. Today, the prosecutors refused to free him unless he would agree not to speak publicly about the case, including naming directly or indirectly the influencer who filed the complaint against him. Why should he?
Right.
Yves will have a bail hearing Monday at 9 a.m. He's called for supporters to attend. The hearing will determine whether or not he will be freed pending trial, and if he will be allowed to write in detail about what is happening to him, including naming the complaint and the police officer who have accused him of harassment, even though he's already done that. He has no interest in naming the police officer, but insists that he should be able to name the influencer who regularly publishes hateful anti-Palestinian content online. If you support him, please come to the Palace de Justice at 1 Notre Dame East at room 312 on Monday at 9 a.m. You can also support his work by donating at his website. This is crazy. I mean, this is crazy town we're at, people. We're taking crazy pills here.
Yep. Am I taking crazy pills?
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills here. For real. Like, what the fuck is going on here? That they're like, we're calling out. Are they going to start suing U.S. citizens for harassing tweets on as well? I mean, that's worrisome. I mean, using Lawfare in Canada, they've obviously found some Canadian law. I believe that it's why they're trying to pass a lot of these stop anti-Semitism laws in the United States right now.
Yep.
Okay,
Same reason.
To criminalize supporting any Palestinians at all, that they're all of a sudden going to deem any Palestinian whatsoever a terrorist, which is also insane. How is a 6-month-old baby a terrorist? Explain that to me. Square that circle. You go ahead. Other than to say, well, they're going to grow up to terrorize us. Well, why would they possibly do that? What kind of motivation would you be giving them to do that? A 6-month-old baby would have motivation to want to grow up and kill you? Why? I can't imagine. I can't. Well, Desert Mantis, oh God, I was killed by a 6-month-old baby once. Well, that is that must be Israel's position. All right. I can't imagine there are other excuses. Yeah, praying for him, and it sucks what's going on there. For sure. Yeah, yvesengler.com/donate if you are able to and of means as well. He certainly is going to need legal support and help to fight this, because he's got the Zionists fighting against him, and we know the Zionists, I used to be one. They love their lawyers. I would like to make an appeal to everyone. If you are able and are of means, please support the media you want to see. These people already have. Thank you so much to everybody who has supported and tipped us and hooked us up. This week, I remember clearly Charlie Mack on Friday night, as well as Sean, definitely hooked us up. We got some PayPals on. Ooh, I get an echo on Wednesday night from INA News. So thank you to everyone. Natalie Brunel, I know she gave, I believe she gave $20 over on Cash App. So cash.app/$Indie News Network, ko-fi.com/Indie News Network, paypal.me/Indie News Network, and INAnewsletter.com are the ways to support it that are the least way to have fees go and the most money to actually put into our pockets. YouTube doesn't like it when we do that. Please, if you can, support the channel, tip us, hook us up with a couple of bucks. Reef needs some weed money. I just got a mic stand. It's so crazy. You know, I've been doing this so long, and my mic has always sat on my desk. And finally, I broke down and I said, "All right, I'm gonna get one of those like kind of arms that clamps to the side of the desk and free up the space." I wouldn't say that, but it's not a terribly expensive product, and it's really funny that the
money is there.
It is, and that's what's funny, because that's why you guys hook us up with that so that we can do things like that, and thank you for that. Because yes, we need to purchase equipment and to cover our costs for the year. That's what we're trying to do, is cover our costs of streaming and of producing all the thumbnails and all the creative graphics. If you are able to at a means, please tip your streamers, hook up INN, help us cover our expenses for the year, and do some really cool stuff. We want to send Jett to Third Eye Carnival in April. We're going to see if we can make that happen, or they may schedule another Third Eye Carnival later on in the year closer to him, an event that he can more easily attend. Third Eye Carnival is a weekend camping trip hangout where there are podcasters, musicians, comedians all come together to discuss what's really happening out there, and then solutions on how do we move forward together to opt out of the system and do some cool stuff, you know, outside of the Zionist control. So we get censored for stuff like this. We got demonetized for stuff like this. So please, if you are able to, hook us up somewhere else other than on YouTube. The ways to do that are Cash App, Ko-fi, PayPal, and at innnewsletter.com. You can do so with a one-time, monthly, or even an annual support over at INN Newsletter. Everybody on that board already has, and we love them deeply for it. Thank you so much, really, for all of the support that we get. We cannot do this without you. We are solely user-funded. We do not have promo codes. We do not do ad reads. We do not do sponsorships. We are here because we feel like that is potentially compromising. If you are, you know, hesitant to criticize somebody that an advertiser might like, or criticize an advertiser directly, or criticize, you know, there's just a lot of potential conflicts of interest that can be brought up by doing the sponsorship thing, which is why we feel like, you know, to have the ultimate integrity, you need to be doing this solely user-funded. Otherwise, you're going to, at some point, have somebody turn to you and tell you they don't like the way that you're covering something and insist that you not cover something or whatever it is. And we've seen that repeatedly. We've seen people have blind spots because there are people that they like that have big gaps and big inconsistencies and big conflicts of interest, and just kind of look the other way and not discuss it and let other people discuss it, and not necessarily defend it, but also not go hard on things that we know that they would ordinarily go hard on. And I don't want to see that happen here. So that's why we need you to help keep us honest so that we can help keep everybody else honest. Because we say fuck the CIA, we get demonetized on YouTube. And these amazing people have already helped out our channel. They have tipped their streamers and supported the media they want to see. And we love them and appreciate them for it. That's why they're on our wall of fame. You can join them by supporting at Cash App, $Indie News Network, ko-fi.com/Indie News Network, paypal.me/Indie News Network, and at innnewsletter.com, where you can subscribe monthly or on an annual basis.
Support independent media, like he said.
Yeah, how about that? We need more than ever.
You said that already, right?
Labels are bad. Stay independent.
No one knows what they're doing. Everything is getting worse. Some people deserve to die. Your money is worthless. No one is properly dressed. At least one of your children will disappoint you. The system is rigged. Your house will never be completely clean. All teachers are incompetent. There are people who really dislike you. Nothing is as good as it seems. Things don't last. No one is paying attention. The country is dying. God doesn't care. Shh.
Support independent media, everyone.
We just fucking lost the stream.
Can't keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your heads. Why play civil if you won't listen? To 50,000 died, and now we know our mission. We form a militia, make Congress a prison. No, I play civil when all these dead won't make you listen. What's more American than slaying your oppressors? What's more American than liberty or death first? God, I thought we were founded on abolishing the tyranny of those who would starve a village all to live empirically. And I regret that I have only one life to give for my cause now that I can see the cause so clearly. See, I want our leaders, regardless of party, to fear me.